Felicitations, aficionados. In the last few weeks, I was just sitting on my ass and thinking about how to make my life more miserable than it already is. I thought about checking how my video was doing, and I did. After seeing the huge success I got from my last video, I decided to make another one. But this time, main topic is not children. We are going for fantasy this time. There are swords, spears, bows, guns, magic, and dragons. Don't get me wrong, I like the modern world. If I wasn't living in the modern times, I wouldn't be a loser that could play video games all day. Also, if I get another chance to live a life, I will go through it exactly the same. Normal minds are too feeble to understand the complexity of my actions as I become an army leader in both of my lifetimes through this game. What game is this? Symphony of War. Sims of War is a turn-based tactical RPG where you control squads of your army to overcome your enemies. Before we dive in deeper, I need to say that some people tell me this game looks like Fire Emblem. Only thing I can say to those people is, Fire Emblem? More like Ice Crest? Get that garbage away from me. I have seen the gameplay of Fire Emblem, and seeing your so-called army having like 15 people is like an insult to the player. In this game, you can have a maximum of 20 squads, but all of them have a maximum of 9 soldier count you can assign into them, which 20 multiplied by 9 makes 180. 180 units in one chapter. 180 may not feel like a true army, but compared to Fire Emblem, difference is 20 to 180. I don't want to hear any shit from you liking Fire Emblem. Now, we can game. You get to edit your squads however you want in the game. Make a squad full of swordsmen, pikemen, sorcerers and wizards, furry convention cosplayers, execution teams, women, artillery, daylight rapists, cavalry, or a mix of all. Game has a basic understanding of which unit counters which one. Heavy infantry use magic and guns. Light infantry use anything that has damage. Heavy and light cavalry, respectively the same as infantry, but they take considerably more damage from units with pole arms. Healers and mages. Since mages can deal heavy damage if you fail to burst them down, using any ranged unit is a good way to snipe them. About healers. If you won't deal considerable damage with your archers, it usually isn't worth it to attack squads that have healers. Because no matter what, except a ranged ambush, in a battle phase, be it ranged or melee, healers always act. Meaning that while you are trying to damage the enemy squad, you might actually heal them. Cannons. They can literally obliterate everything when given enough numbers. They need to be destroyed whenever you have the chance. Cannon units get killed easily, and they cannot counterattack in battle phases. They only attack during offense of the controlling side. Dragons. No chance but to try to burst them down. If you attack a dragon with a mage, damage you deal can be quite low, so go for physical attacks against them. Map and objectives. Every chapter has main and side objectives and counters that will give you faction XP higher the score you get. There are places you need to recognize in the map, as in objectives, temples, hills, rough terrain, keeps, walls, bazaars, and chests. Any squad you have can capture any objective. Go to shop from bazaar and open chests. Hills give +1 range to all ranged units, so are walls and keeps. What differs them from hills is, keeps and walls make your units more resistant to ranged attacks. Cannons will still break kneecaps, but arrows and such will deal visibly less damage. Woods also give protection against ranged attacks by giving your units 50% evasion against them. Rough terrain, as in woods, swamps, and hills, make you use up more movement points. If any of your light type squads start a turn in any rough terrain and attack an enemy squad that is in a rough terrain or one square adjacent to it, they can trigger an ambush attack. In ambush attacks, instead of each squad attacking twice, squad that uses the ambush attack attacks twice in a row and then enemy counterattacks only one time. It's an extremely useful attack, but requirements for it can sometimes make it hard to pull off. Temples. They are same as capturable objectives, but you can revive soldiers and restore out of battle heal counts in your squads in exchange of gold. All these unbelievers thinking that praying won't help for someone's health, or to revive them back from the dead. Yes, you still need to pay your medical bills, because praying takes time, and time isn't cheap. At least, usually. Here, it's only 100 gold to revive a dead person, which you might even find laying on the ground. Chests give you random loot. It can be consumables, artifacts, or a random war crime weapon from old times. Bazaars. From bazaars, you can get units and items in exchange for gold. Compared to the marketplace you get units and items from bazaars and chapters, you will most likely find higher tier items and units easier. City menu. After every chapter, you get a menu which has several options. These are Deploy, Organize Army, Tech Tree, Marketplace, Tutorials and Info, Sports, and Arena. So, Deploy makes you start the next chapter. And in chapter 20, and only in chapter 20 for some reason, shows you the quest list, which gives you some side quests. Doing them are recommended. Organize Army. In here, you can make the customization to your squads however you feel like it. You can change squad members, formations, their artifacts, classes, use items, and form new squads. To form a new squad, you will need to choose a leader from the soldier pool you have. Tier 1 units cannot be leaders, but units that are tier 2 and above can lead a squad. You need to plan how you want to approach the chapters blindly, or be a pussy and start the chapter, quit out of it, and change your squads accordingly. Usually, at least one squad for every situation is good. With the story leaders you get, archer captain, cavalry captain, etc. traits makes them being used as a leader more viable. After all, assigning a random teacher to take care of the special needs class can make the outcome worse, compared to a teacher that understood the ways of the special. You can also make a full hero team, but you won't be able to use their leader skills to their full potential that way. Also, in my opinion, always have one unimportant squad ready to be used. Openly admit to them that they won't be missed in the case of a random cannonball falling right on top of them. They are useful for collecting chests and capturing objectives when your other squads can battle. How many units can be in a squad is determined by the squad leader's leadership stat. Squad capacity is directly tied to this stat, so if a unit has 50 leadership, squad will have a capacity of 50. Keep in mind that artifacts usually take up squad capacity. Choosing between an artifact or a new unit in the squad will be totally up to you. Some of the artifacts also open up more capacity for the squads. Only ways to up a unit's leadership are making the unit fight in a squad, capture objectives with the said unit in the squad, and a consumable which ups the leadership of a unit a little bit with each use. That item can only be used up to 70 leadership for a unit. All units have 2 XP bars. First one shows the unit's own XP, which each level up gives stat boosts. It always has a cap of 100, so leveling up will be a constant thing. How much XP you gain per battle depends on the levels of units you are fighting against. A few levels lower units might not give a single character XP point. Second one shows the class XP of that unit. When a unit gets their class XP bar to full, they are allowed to change the class to an upper tier. Changing classes to upper tiers will cost materials or a certain stat threshold, or both. Classes can be changed back to a lower tier, which will make the unit refund the materials used for the change, and will be ready with the full class XP for a tier up. However, if class XP is filled even a bit, that class XP will be lost if you tier down and change into another class in the same tier. Filling the class XP bar as a tier 3 unit lets you use proof of merit consumable on the said unit, which turns the unit into a golden version of themselves, with higher stats. But doing so will make it impossible to change the unit's class from that point on. Also, all units in the game has an affinity, which buffs or nerfs their stats according to their affinity type. A unit's affinity can be changed using scrolls, which may open a unit's way to change into a tier 3 class early. Next, there is Tech Tree. You give upgrades to your army through this page. Almost all of them are useful, and if you manage to fill up a tree, last tier upgrades are always worth it. If you manage to fill up 2 trees, their mixed technology is near invaluable. To get tech points, you need to level your faction rank up. When your faction level hits max, you will have enough tech points to unlock everything. You get faction XP from completing chapters, which will give you a rank that will give you a certain amount of faction XP. Also doing tasks that are seen in mission info, capturing objectives, and slavery. That is right. With each slave you make surrender to you, you get some amount of gold and 1 faction XP. This count can rise a lot depending on how you play the game. Any squad that has the shattered morale will have a 100% chance to surrender to you. Others will have a chance to surrender the lower they get. If you fail to negotiate living standards for your slaves, fear not, you still attack them, but you will be only attacking once. If you manage to get a unit's HP to 0 after a failed surrender attempt, they will have a chance to surrender instead of getting killed. Marketplace. From here, you can recruit new soldiers and get items in exchange for gold. Don't forget to check this page after every chapter. And in my opinion, anything consumable is worth buying. After a while, you will have a lot of materials anyway, but consumables will always be useful. You can also sell items in Marketplace, but it usually isn't worth it, unless you are trying to buy a rare item or a unit with a trait that you would like. Tutorials and info gives a true explanation on lore and how the game works. I suggest you give it a read because it's not too long and quite informative. Supports. Here, you can see the relationships of the characters with each other. Relationships boost the morale of your squads when those two characters' squads are close to each other in the map. In this page, you can also read through some scenes that go on between the characters that might change their relationship with each other. Don't forget that if you bond two characters, you won't be able to make a bond with those two characters with anyone else. You might see some dialogue at the end of the game on how they are doing depending on who you bonded whom with. You can also rewatch all the scenes later in the sports menu by choosing Archive. And lastly, the arena. During your playthrough, from shops, enemies, or from treasures, you might get arena tokens. These can differ in quality and rarity, as in bronze, silver, gold, and platinum arena tokens. You can use your tokens in the arena to challenge the corresponding type. In these challenges, you will only have 5 squads each map from your squad pool. Whichever ones you will use will be on you. Completing these arena challenges reward you with several things. Of course, ranking system is in the arenas too, so try to keep all 5 of your squads alive. You have a 100% chance to get character and class XP books and gold. Other stuff you get are randomized and can be consumables or artifacts. One little note, if you are playing the game on permadeath mode, soldiers don't die permanently if they die in arena. So go ham as long as you don't lose the whole squad. With everything explained, it's time for some story. But I won't explain it a lot, because for most people, story might be the driving point to play the game, and not the tactical prowess they can make. What do we call those people? That is right. Cringe. Don't ever talk to me again until you can lead an army instead of reading fanfics. Now that I triggered every Fire Emblem fan watching this video, we can continue. We are in the world of Tanra. In the lands our story is shown, 3 factions exist. These are Hegemonic Empire of Viridia, Technologically Advanced Republic of Sandraka, and the Kingdom of Gold, Sayuna. This place might look like a fantasy world, but really it's just Yugoslavia, but a bit more peaceful. Your character is a star of cum that drops on top of the baby born from a blue-haired woman. You don't have parents and live as a street urchin. You beg to work in a barracks to help clean the armors and shields, even for free, and Mr. Barnabas accepts your offer and helps you grow. You become a soldier in the army, and as time continues on, you become the leader of your own unit. Gameplay starts from here. You need to take care of rebels to save the princess. Rebel leader is Big Boss, but blonde. You take care of the rebels, Big Boss dies with honor. With that, I mean he kills himself. Then you get backstabbed by your prime minister, and get taken away by the Viridia. They say that you assassinated the princess and helped the rebels. After everyone leaves, Prime Minister actually kills the princess. You get taken into a jail and you are getting tortured and experimented on. While you are still in jail, Mr. Stefan comes to save you. He introduces himself and saves you. While escaping, you see Diana, who is a paladin from the Temple of Donar. You get saved and taken into the temple. There, they say that you are one of the chosen ones. Our character calls it bullshit, but temple gets attacked and they say we should lead the soldiers. Reason being, temple warriors not having any open battlefield experience. Hesitantly we agree and defend the temple. While defending, your allies come back to help you, thinking there is something wrong going on. Even though all of them now can be counted as criminals, they still trust you enough to move forward. With the allies you gain, you start to hunt down the pirates that were sent to hunt you, to learn what might be happening. Through this adventure, You go back to Empire's castle, and after capturing the castle, you defend it against pirates. As you defeat them, Prime Minister shows up with incredible firepower and starts blasting through your units with many cannons he has. You order everyone to escape because it looks like survival is impossible against this much firepower. You get captured, and on top of the castle, you get executed and fall to your death. And now, I won't tell you anything more. If you're interested enough, I suggest you buy the game yourself. Actually, you know what? I'm not suggesting, I'm telling you to buy the game. These developers need all the support they can get so I can play this awesome game more. They already have a roadmap on what is planned. Now, some of you might say I'm biased about this game and telling you to buy it just so it will get updates to quench my thirst for this game. If you say that, you're exactly fucking right. This is now a threat. I have pictures of your toes and I'm not afraid of selling them to the strangers on the internet. Go buy the game and your IP address will be in safe hands. If you don't care about your personal safety, then I will need to bring out the big guns. I present to you Giantess with thunder thighs and an ass that can only be described as sit on me, mommy. If you don't want to buy the game for my sake, do it for the big giantess mommy. Before I leave, I should also tell about some exploits and tactics. So, grinding. You can grind in this game even though it seems like you cannot. What you need to do is enter an arena, put an archer to all of your squads, and leave one archer squad alive from the enemy. Let enemy archer squad hit your units for however much you would like. This will give them XP and leadership the more you do it. With the single archer you have in your squads, go and attack the boss that stays in the objective. This will also give you XP and leadership, which makes it an infinite grind. Of course, because of the level of enemy squads, XP gain will stop or will be too little after some time. So this grind is mostly for getting your low level units closer to your high level ones. I did not use infinite grind for both of my playthroughs because I value my time. Dragon Riders are flying units that can become squad leaders. If you have 3 Dragon Riders and 3 other non-cavalry or cannon units, you can make your squad a flying one. You can have 3 Fire Wizards behind them to make them fantasize as a bomber plane. Squad limit that is written on top of the screen when starting the chapter doesn't mean you can only use 20 of your squads in that chapter. It actually means 20 of your squads at the same time. Meaning that if one of your squads gets hurt and is about to die, you can send that squad back to your starting base and make them retreat. After that, clicking your base will pop up the squad menu, which lets you summon another one of the squads you are not currently using. I was quite illiterate when I read the tutorial, so before I end the video, I need to tell you this. All gunpowder units and crossbowmen do not get scaled with strength. I gave my cannon squad a legendary artifact that boosted strength. So I kinda clowned on myself. For the score of the game, I give it an execution squad out of 30 cosplayers. I am repeating that I am biased and I do not fucking care. Buy the game.